Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Iowa Live on our new time, 11:45 on Local 5. And say good morning and Happy New Year to our good friend Loren Merkle from Merkle Retirement Planning. How are we, Loren?
I'm doing very well. Lou, how are you? Happy New Year to you.
I'm doing very well, and thank you. And the thing that the reason I'm doing so well is because we can now say it is 2021. How many people stayed up until midnight just to watch 2020 go into the rearview mirror?
Yeah, we've probably had record viewership this year, just waiting for 2020 to get behind us. And now we're in 2021 with a whole brand new year to look forward to and a lot of good things that you can implement to help yourself from a retirement planning standpoint.
All right, let's talk about the stock market in 2020 right off the bat here, because we were ready for a ride, and boy, didn't we take one.
Well, 2020 was a real roller coaster. Early on in the year, it was going pretty well, and then everybody probably remembers March, in which the S&P 500 had a record drop from a pace standpoint. 22 days, Lou. 22 days is all it took for the S&P 500 to drop by 30%. And then April was a little rocky, May was a little rocky, and then to most people's surprise, the rest of the year was really a pretty positive year. And we're looking back, and at the end of 12/31 of 2020, the S&P 500 was up 16%. So it felt like it was kind of a painful year from a stock market standpoint, but it actually ended up okay for most people.
Yeah, and the one thing that you mentioned, Loren, that we talk to on a regular basis, is you said you need to hang on for the ride, for the long haul. Make some plans ahead of time, but then just hang on because things are going to change, and you hit the nail right on the head.
Well, in March, Lou, you and I were talking, and we were talking about how painful it was, and that's the hard part about when we go through these big dips, is nobody really knows when the pain is going to end. But as you and I were talking, we thought if we fast forward a few months, and it's now December of 2020, we look back and we thought that the stock market would substantially recover what it has lost during that March timeframe, and that's exactly what happened. Not only did it recover all of what was down from March, but actually ended up 16% in the positive. So that's a real lesson for a lot of people, because we haven't seen that kind of drop in the market really since the Great Depression. And we haven't seen a bear market like that since 2008. So 2008 was really painful. Most people remember that. Prior to that, it was the Great Depression. So we kind of forget what it feels like to go through that. Last year was a really good reminder of what we should do to prevail when things get really ugly, which for most people at that point, we just got to hang on, let the ride take place. And at some point, we're going to end up in a better position.
So we all knew what was going to happen there once it started going. We're talking about coronavirus pandemic. So there's going to be kind of some rocky road ahead, but we saw some recovery. We hope for some recovery. But then on top of that, if that wasn't bad enough, what happened in November? We had an election, and that just rolls the dice again, doesn't it?
Well, it added a lot of uncertainty. What Wall Street really does not like is uncertainty. So the election came into play. The coronavirus was a big issue. So there was all this uncertainty, and what 2020 was really lacking from what we usually see from an uncertain period of time is all the international conflict that usually comes in. But the world was paralyzed through the COVID-19, so we didn't see a lot of that in 2020. And I would say for 2021, let's look for some of that uncertainty to creep back in and play a role on the performance of the market as well. So for 2021, we're looking for more volatility. Hopefully it's not going to be anywhere close to what we saw in 2020. But as a pre-retiree, as a retiree, as an investor, you need to be prepared for the volatility. Make sure that you're well positioned not only to prevail when the markets drop, but also maybe even take advantage of it like a lot of people did in March.
All right. Now, these relief packages that were unveiled here in the past year or so, did they help the situation, or is that just a Band-Aid that was put on it?
Well, from a market standpoint, it was a market Band-Aid. So the market, Wall Street really likes the relief packages. If you pay attention to when the news comes out on what these relief packages, the new relief packages, the market does typically go up during those days when legislators are talking about them. So it is a market Band-Aid, and I would look for more of that in 2021. But really, the long-term performance of this market is going to be, can we reopen the economy? Can businesses stay open? Can they reopen to a greater capacity? If the answer to those questions is yes, then the market could do really well. If businesses have to keep with a diminished capacity or even have to close down, then the market's not going to like that. And even worse, the economy is not going to like that. And we could find ourselves slipping into a more deeper recession. So those are some of the things that we have to be on the lookout for 2021.
And you have some workshops that are always available for a variety of different topics. And if people want to find out what is up next, because we have something coming up on Wednesday and Thursday during the day, what's the easiest way for people to find out about your workshops, which don't cost anything?
No, they're completely complimentary. We make them available online. We have a YouTube channel where we put a lot of educational content out there as well. But all you have to do is go to merkleplan.com and you can take a look and actually sign up for any of these complimentary workshops right online through merkleplan.com. And any of the ones that we're currently offering will be out there at any time.
All right, Loren, we're going to talk to you a little later on this week so we can catch up some more. But thank you for making the journey over to Local 5 now. This is going to be very cool, being over here during the lunchtime hour.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. We're on Local 5 and over the lunchtime hour. How could it get any better, Lou?
We'll go grab a bite after we get done here today. Sounds great. Loren, you take care of yourself. We'll talk to you in just a couple days, okay, bud?
Thanks. Sounds good. See you soon.